What's up?
Oh, I'm just compiling all the top sports scores, news, and odds so I can make the very best bets.
Me too. BetOnline.ag.
Join today and receive your 50% welcome bonus at betonline.ag.
Coach, games like this, sometimes, you'll get those unsung heroes in a Game 7, but it was really like all of your depth, the bottom six, and a lot of the bottom D pairings too. What did you think of the way they played?
Terrific. That's why they're in the lineup. I think we've got a lot of good choices. Very difficult to tell a couple of guys that didn't play. They weren't going to. They played part of the series. We talked about at the start of the series, we felt we needed a certain type of lineup to beat Toronto. We finally found it late in the series. I thought Game 6 and 7 we skated well. And a guy like Nordstrom is a good part of that. Kuhlman. Corrali, obviously. The odd thing about this series for us is we actually got healthier as the series went on. Usually in the playoffs, it's the opposite. So for us to get guys back, John Moore, Johansson was ill, had been hurt. Corrali, I think, helped us a lot. And Donnie's done a great job with depth. So we've been able to use different players because of injuries. And, knock on wood, I believe we're going to be healthy going into the Columbus series with the group we finished with.
Ty?
John Tavares and Mitch Marner were an impressive combo this year. They got off to a good start, but you really neutralized them towards the end of the series. They got on the board with the goal tonight, but what was your focus there on that end to keep them in check?
Well, one is puck management. I mean, Game 1 we gave Marner, he made a great read on an entry, but, it's a turnover and a breakaway. Right after that, we turned one over at the blue line. Tavares gets a breakaway, so they start feeling good about themselves. I mean, if teams do that to Pastas and the DeBrus, they're going to pay the price too. So I think Bergie and Z, that matchup, you got two high-end players with Marsh and Charlie, and they've got their high-end players out there, so they're kind of seesawing back and forth, and you never know which way it's going to go, but you got really good players. So eventually it settles down. I thought on the power play we did a good job keeping them quiet. We had a breakdown with Marner and Matthews' goal, and I think Game 4, they made a good play, I believe it was. But for the most part, that's another way to keep them quiet. If they're not getting excited on the power play and get some sort of carries over, then it can help you. So I think we had a good game plan there. And at the end of the day, like I said, I think Bergie takes a lot of pride in Marsh, obviously the matchup. We've always trusted Danton Heinen, so he goes in there. Z and Charlie are real good. And I thought they, in fairness to them, I thought they did a good job against Bergie's line too as well. So it was a really good matchup both ways, with guys keeping some pretty good offensive players kind of at bay for the most part.
Dupes, then Joey.
Bruce, I know it's somewhere in the second half, Grzelcyk had a shot off the point, and at the end of the game you said, I didn't know he had that shot in him. And tonight we see Corrali walk over and rip off that wrister. Did you have the same kind of thought there on that shot?
Well, in Game 6 he had a couple of those looks, so I think he was baiting the hook a little bit and snapped one tonight. But Sean has got a quick release. It's not a heavy shot, at least I don't think it is, but because he releases it in full stride, I think he caught the goalie a little bit off guard. It's a huge goal for us. The second period, we came out of it. I think that gave them a lot of life. So to go in early in the third and sort of get the 2-goal lead back. And I thought after that our guys were outstanding in terms of their checking. Said bad line change got us in trouble to too many men. That was the only time we gave them life. But I thought we did a really good job, and Sean was a big part of that. We talked about missing him at the start of the series. You look at a depth guy and think, wow, how much can you miss him? But we use him in a lot of different ways for us, and he's a valuable playoff guy. Last couple of years, he scored some big goals for us in the playoffs.
Coach, Tuukka has that game scoreless. Tuukka has that save on Matthews from the slot, and then follows it out with those 3 consecutive saves on Marner on the partial break. Just those 2 saves specifically, how key was that for you guys? Well,
you want to play with the lead. It was huge. Riley was moving around a lot more the last couple of games. I think early in the series they were content to pound pucks from up top, try to outnumber us at the net. He started moving around. He's dangerous. He's a real good skater. He sees the ice, bang, bang play. Into the heart of our defense, something we've done real well all year, and they had avoided making plays into there and trying to get it the 2-for-1. So it's a really huge save by Tuukka. Listen, I don't think you win any Game 7 unless you're, rarely. Last year we had a 7-4 where it just seemed like it was all offense, but generally speaking, you need your goaltender to hold you in there, and I thought Tuukka was outstanding. Had a real good series. So did Anderson. The first goal, I'm sure he'd like to have back. That's the one that sort of squeaks through. We had one of those against us, more up there. But I thought Tuukka was great tonight. Really handled himself well, great composure. Got out, played the puck when he needed to, froze it when he needed to. We limited his workload this year, and you wonder how is it going to affect you in the playoffs. And I think tonight, hopefully, you got some residual effect of that where he was fresh the last couple games, playing every second night. And it pays off, and hopefully even more going forward. But I think he was our best player tonight. I thought we had a lot of guys play well, but he was our best player.
Back left, then Tara.
Bruce, could you talk about the atmosphere in the building tonight and how the home ice helped your team tonight?
Frank, I love the atmosphere in the building right from the get-go. Game 7, every night here. Same in Toronto, I got to say. A couple of loud buildings, original Six franchises, hungry, great fan support. Julian Edelman chugging a beer was awesome. Probably got everyone fired up, including us. Good for him. We'll return the favor at some point down the road. But I thought it was outstanding. But that's Game 7 playoff hockey for you right there.
Tara.
Bruce, you mentioned the second period in particular, and you talked about Tuukka. How much in the second period did you feel like he kept you in the game, or if that's overstating things? And
No,
just,
that's not overstating. I think that's accurate.
and then just overall, have you ever sort of figured out kind of the real love-hate relationships it seems fans have for him? And do you think after a game like tonight?
Well, hopefully he's converted a few. I think in sports you have that a lot. I'm a sports fan, other sports, and I have it with certain players on teams I root for. And for me, the time I've known him, he's been a very competitive man, excellent goaltender. We saw it tonight, and hopefully he can start or continue to build on his playoff legacy. It's a big Game 7 win. And like I said, I believe he was our best player. And in the second period, we broke down. We had a tough time moving the puck out of our zone. He was there for us. Now, we end up scoring some goals for him, right? So that's how our team's done it all year. We play for one another. We tend to pick each other up. So he picked us up in the second when we were down. We got him a couple goals in the first so he could relax probably a little bit. But he made the stops he needed to and more. So like I said, I hope the fans recognize what he did tonight. I think you have to, as a fan, acknowledge when a player plays well. I know in this town, when you don't, you hear about it, that's fine too. But tonight he played well, and hopefully the people get behind him and acknowledge that.
Take two more, Timmy.
3 separate times you trailed in the series, 3 separate times you came back before winning, ultimately winning Game 7 tonight. What does it say about the resiliency of this team?
We got a lot of it. We proved it during the year. We played with numerous people out of our lineup, numerous high-end players that we rely on. We plug different people in. We use different people in this series. Stephen Kemp for Connor Clifton. I can go down. Different guys contributed. We did have the health of our goaltenders for most of the year. We acknowledged Tuukka there missed with a concussion for a little bit of time, but for the most part, our team defense got us through those tough times. And at the end of the day, you look around the room at Z and Bergie and Krejci and those guys that have been through it. That's the reason this team is resilient. I've said it all along. It's the leadership group. I think as a staff, we always try to go back to work the next day, no matter what happens, good, bad, or indifferent. Learn from the, maybe the stuff you didn't do as well as you'd like, and build on the positive. So you put those two things together. I'm not surprised that our group's able to bounce back.
Last one, Jimmy.
Coach, early in the series, it seemed maybe at times their defense seemed comfortable, so to speak. But as it went on, it seemed like you guys, your forecheck and everything, you were making them feel a little more uncomfortable. I'm sure you noticed that. How important was that as the series, and how much momentum do you gain from that?
Well, I think both teams wanted to play behind the D and force them to break pucks out. We saw that in the second period. They did it to us. We did it in Game 2 physically. And I thought we, took control of the game. We skated well the last 2 games, did it as much with speed and physicality and good sticks. So a combination of both. I think they did it to us as well. So, you could see the first 2 goals. I think were both turnovers on good forechecks. Forced errors. Maybe the one that Noel picked off could have been called an unforced error, but at the end of the day, they got one back. We turned one over on the wall. So that's playoff hockey. Everybody finishes their checks. Everyone's coming. the commitment, so it's a lot tougher to break out pucks. I think that's why when people talk about playoffs, when they have those big top guys that can break the puck out, it's even more valuable than the regular season, and that's the reason why everyone has a little more jump in their step, and we were able to do that to them. In the end, took a while, but we got it done.
Last one from Joey.
Coach, I'm sure you watched the Columbus series. When you get back to work
A long time ago, it seems like, huh?
when you get back to work tomorrow, what's your initial thought?
My initial thought is they beat a really good team because I thought Tampa was lights out. We saw them firsthand late in the year. So clearly we got our hands full. We're going to enjoy this one tonight, but tomorrow we'll be back in trying to break them down. I don't mind a quick turnaround necessarily when you're playing well. Our last 2 games we have played well. I thought the start of this series, we had time off, we rested players. We had a couple practices, and all of a sudden maybe it's too much information, and they're overloading. And this way they won't be able to get they'll get a little bit on Thursday morning. The good news is we saw them 3 times late in the year. That'll help with our preparation. Should help with the players. We know they were physical against Tampa. They came after them. They had they got key saves. Power play was lights out. So we got our hands full. But listen, we're looking forward to it. I think it'd be a good matchup for us. I think the teams are similarly built, so it should be a good series.